Welcome to the Here's Hope Project, where your story creates hope. I'm Sarah Jane, and in today's episode, we'll be speaking with Erin, who is the mom to a leukemia warrior named Landon. Now, Landon finished treatment last May, but we'll be speaking with his mom about the support and resources she used to help keep him up to date with school during treatment. And we'll also be talking about how she managed to work through his treatment as well. So, without further ado, let's go meet Erin.
'Cause it's here where we lay in the blanket of despair, where I'm weak but I'm strong and black smoke fills the air, where I'm burning, broken, battered.
Erin, welcome. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much
today.
for having me.
Yeah, of course.
Sorry.
Oh no.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, of course. I wanted to bring you on because we got in a conversation about a month ago about having to advocate for Landon, not just with his medical needs, but with school.
Yeah.
And so we were talking about that. And then it also came up that you and your husband both have to work, which is insane to me because I know that with most families, at least one parent ends up having to quit their job. But both you and your husband managed to work throughout.
Yes.
So yeah, I really wanted to bring you on because I figured, this is a great topic, I think, both of these things. And I think parents would just really benefit from hearing from you. So wanted to bring you on. Here you are. So if you can get us started and maybe tell me a little bit about Landon's story, because he was 5 years old, completely healthy. You just buy a house. Everything seems to be moving in the right direction. And then what happens?
He got diagnosed with leukemia, ALL, which is acute lymphoblastic leukemia, B cell, and our life changed forever. We've been, for 2.5 years, been going for treatments, PT, OT, you name it, we've done it.
Wow. How was he diagnosed?
He was diagnosed through, so we went to an orthopedic walk-in doctor place, and they told us that he needs an MRI stat on his back because he was having back pain, and he wasn't barely able to walk. So the only way to do that was to go to the emergency room, and then it just started from there. They did X-ray. They noticed some compressed fractures on his spine. Then they noticed the abnormal blood work, and the next thing we know, we're on the oncology ward a few hours later saying your child has cancer. We just don't know which one yet.
Yeah, that had to be hard.
Yeah.
Landon, he's 7 years old now. He was in treatment, like you just said, for 2.5 years, finished treatment in May. So congratulations. And he got his port removed yesterday, which is super exciting. So congratulations on that.
Thank
too.
you.
When he was in treatment, if we go through there, he missed, I know, some school for kindergarten and first grade. So I'm wondering sort of, what does that look like and how does that work? Like, does the school give you his assignments and you just work on them in the hospital, or do they provide services? What does that look like?
So at first we were hospital homebound because in the first part of treatment, the oncologist would say no school because it's so much, like every day you're at the hospital or doing something or, appointment here and there. It didn't work for us because we tried it. It didn't work for us because first he's in kindergarten. He was in kindergarten and basically kindergarten doesn't learn very well on a computer. You can sit still for that long. And the teacher would come at like 5 p.m. after chemo treatment. So
that had to be hard to keep him engaged.
Yeah, especially. And then sometimes she wouldn't even show up because it was so late, or she had something to do after school hours, which I don't understand. At the time, I didn't really care because I was just so focused on getting Landon, healthy again. But basically, he was just, because he was in kindergarten, he was afterthought to the program.
And then how was first grade?
First grade was a mess. He went back to regular school, but he missed more than like 40 to 50 days of school due to low counts, being sick, having to go to the hospital for fevers, or go to the emergency room. So he missed a lot of school. To the fact where the school was like, did call me at the beginning of the school year because he got sick and was saying, why does he have all these absences after I already have an IEP? And he's like, why do you have all these absences? I'm like, he's going through cancer treatment. And believe me, if he could go to school, I would allow him to go to school, but he can't. So then I had to put in writing in his IEP that he has excused absence no matter what, without a note. So, because if not, I'll be writing notes every day.
Yeah. So an IEP, just to be clear, that's like where you meet with the counselor and the principal and just the school staff.
Yeah, it's called a individual education plan for basically Landon has deficits in reading and math. He's not at grade level, and basically it helps set out set out like goals for him to get to grade level, and the school must follow it because he's under certain criteria because of the leukemia treatment, which is under other health impairments.
Okay. So when he was in treatment because of the scoliosis, did you ever have to worry about him being held back a grade?
Yes, no. They don't really look at it that way until like third grade. Okay. But I wouldn't hold him back because he was with the same group of friends before he was diagnosed. So I don't think I think socially he would not accept being held back. I don't think he would enjoy it. I think because Landon is very smart, even though he has setbacks and he's not at grade level, he's smart in other ways. Like he knows that he has leukemia. He knows like all about it. He knows what his blood was sick, so he always asks questions. So I don't think I would ever hold him back unless I felt the need to. And plus the school this year didn't want him doing summer school because he was meeting his goals. So if the school thinks it's okay, then I guess it's okay with me.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the last thing you want to do is to have to hold him back.
Yeah. And he's already older, older for his grade level because he's a November kid. So he was already held back technically, if you think about it. So, because September 1st, you get, you have to wait a year to go to kindergarten. So he's an older, child for his grade level.
So I'm curious too, when he did go back to school, how did the school sort of support you with that transition? Was the transition from hospital to school kind of hard for him?
In kindergarten, not so much, but first grade was kind of different because first grade he was going to the same school, but he had a new principal. He had a new staffing coordinator that like gets IEPs better, like IEPs situated and services going for him, and he didn't have a understanding teacher basically, which a general education teacher, because that's the big part of being successful, having a good general education teacher that can understand like his deficits and such and his strengths, but she didn't want to look at that.
So what did you do then if his teacher wasn't very supportive?
I had several meetings.
With the teacher or with like the principal or?
With the principal and the staffing coordinator and his ESE teacher, which is basically the one that helps him get to the grade level with math and reading and such. The communication was not there because I would get one day I would get from his education teacher, his special education teacher, I would get hey, he's doing great, he's meeting his goals. But then the next day I'll be getting something from his regular teacher. Oh, Landon's doing this. He's not doing this right. He's not doing this correctly. He's not doing this. And then it got to the point where I had to just stop everything with the teacher because it was making me mentally like what's wrong with my son? I mean, like why is he doing so good and this way and this teacher saying no. So that's why I had several meetings. I had him the IEP redone to where he used to do like no writing because he's no writing because the teacher was to have him write out paragraphs in French because he goes to a French magnet school, and he has the hand strength of a 4-year-old, and that's like torture, I would think. So I have him do like it's called iReady, which is basically like a application. You just like click the right answer. You just do games and stuff and read and stuff, and instead of doing the homework of like writing out paragraphs and such like that.
So what about socially, like with his friends, and how is that sort of navigating back and forth between the hospital and school?
He has great friends, but we haven't been able to like go to birthday parties and such because he's immune compromised and he has a port, and if he gets a fever, we have to go to the ER. But I think this year is going to be better for him because he doesn't have his port anymore. He won't have to wear a mask at school and all this stuff. But he loves talking to people. He's a type of person that has never meet a stranger, which is kind of scary in a way. But but I mean, I make sure I teach him, skills to make sure he knows that what a stranger is and not to talk to certain people, and not to say, what I'm saying, because he didn't get those skills. You have to think about it. We learned those skills in kindergarten, and he wasn't hardly in school in kindergarten, so he doesn't know the skills of stranger danger and stuff like that. So you have to really teach him.
Was that something you had to teach him, or was that something
I had to teach him? Yeah.
Okay.
Because we've been isolated. We still a hospital. We don't go outside much, and so that's why I was like. But he does have some amazing friends. That's been his friends since VBK. So,
did they know? I mean, that's pretty young age. They probably didn't know what was going on, or, I mean,
no.
I'm sure
I made sure I let the teacher know for each grade that Landon's going through treatment, and I even let the school moms, the classroom moms know, and they sent out like emails stating like, don't let people push around his port. Don't roughhouse with him. He's able to play like a normal kid. He's not contagious, stuff like that. Because a lot of people don't realize that Landon's just trying to be a normal kid. He's not like,
Yeah.
And then it was nice because he went to school. When he did go back to regular school, he had hair. So it wasn't like that whole like situation where he had to explain why he has no hair, So he didn't have to. Yeah, I didn't have to explain that. And kids were pretty helpful when and what like he had no bullying or anything like that. So that was amazing.
That's what I was just going to ask. I was wondering how his friends, if he got any bullying or anything like that.
No, but I could tell you that it does happen though. I'm pretty sure, like especially probably for, I would say, girls. It'd probably be harder because, society thinks like girls should have long hair and,
Yeah. Well, good. So going back, I know that he had the IEP, so you had to get that. He had English, math, and reading kind of tutors or something 3 times a week. And then was there something else, like given that he had cancer and he's in the hospital, is there something else that he had to get that could help him sort of keep up to date with school?
Not really, because I never really pushed him to learn at home or in the hospital, because my main focus for him was to get better, and I didn't really push school on him so much because I feel like he was in first grade and they were like trying to make him learn spelling words, write, read, and all this stuff in math, and he's also going through life-saving treatment. So I put a stop to the homework and stuff like that. Why he's inpatient or sick? Because I mean, if you're sick, you don't go to work and you go to work. You don't go to work and you work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
From home, like if you're calling sick, you're not going to go do your job at home. So why would we do that at school for school? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally. So you and I were speaking, and you actually had mentioned something called a 504, which is when your child's sick or in the hospital, that you go to the principal and sort of fill out a form and get that set up.
Yeah.
What is a 504?
It's basically if your child has any medical conditions that warrant like excessive absences or treatment, or anything pretty much that has medical related, like they might have to go like chemotherapy that doesn't affect the your any learning deficits. So like once if they've developed, like if they notice he's behind in math and reading, then they start looking into maybe getting evaluated for IEP. But 504 pretty much is just saying like, hey, yeah, this is a watch out. Like he might miss 10 days of school because of treatment for chemotherapy, or he might be absent because he's sick, a lot because of the treatment. Whereas IEP, they have goals now where you have to meet to try to get to him to grade level because he has his deficits in his learning. Yeah. And leukemia is one of those that pretty much will meet the criteria. It's very rare that a child won't have an IEP with leukemia if you want one, because of all the LPs they have and all the chemotherapy for how long they've been on it. It's very, very like cognitively affects them.
So you got the 504 before the IEP?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The school actually brought it on. Brought it up to my attention for the 504.
Okay. And then all you have to do for that is just go to the principal and just tell
them. They make you fill out a form, and then basically it turns into a document. There's not as many protections, like federal protections, as a IEP.
Okay.
IEP, that it's federal law, they follow it. If not, they can get in trouble.
Okay. So it sounds like that's what you would recommend to parents trying to keep their kids on track, is to first maybe get that 504 for medical accommodations and for understanding and for those excused absence and stuff like that. And then also get an IEP. So those two things you would recommend.
I would say first ask for evaluations. Certain states, there's like, I think Florida is 60 days, where other states might be 30 days, or, it's like 60-day working days. So summer doesn't count in Florida. So I would definitely reach out to the school system. Every school system should have like a it's called ESE, like department. So that I'd reach out to them and ask them what they have to do or what they need to do to be evaluated.
Okay. And the ESE, is that strictly just English, reading, and math?
No, I think science and others are included. I think they just focus more on that because, let's be honest, they're testing for it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's a lot of stress. Yeah. I mean, you clearly had to advocate when it came to school. So you're managing his healthcare, his medical needs, and his educational needs. Yeah. And then you're working on top of that. How did you find time to work? How did you balance between taking care of him in the hospital, school, and work? What did you do?
So basically, I'm a planner. I became a planner overnight. I used to be like, oh, I'll do this, but you have to be a planner. Unfortunately, like I can no more like, hey, I'll do this next week, So basically, I had a job that actually let me work the hours I needed to work. If I needed to work evenings, or if I needed to work days, or both, I know many times when Landon was inpatient, I would sit there from the morning time till 3:00 till my husband would relieve me at the hospital, and then I would go to work till 11:00, and it'd just be like the same thing. So for like the last 2 years, I haven't. Well, maintenance the last year, I would say it's been easier because of maintenance, but it hasn't really been easy because he's been having a lot of ER visits because of fevers. But that's how I manage my time. I just flip flop, And then the school, I would ask like for a meeting. I would ask a date and time, and then I'd make, like I said, I would just work with my work and ask them to schedule me this time to this time so I can do the meeting. And then if something popped up, we just worked it out. Somehow it just worked out.
Did you have any last minute sort of appointments or emergency situations when he was in treatment that you had to contact work for, like maybe you couldn't show up that day? And if so, how did they respond and handle that?
Yes. And they had to let me because I have FMLA, intermittent. So like you could have FMLA and just do a solid 3 months, or you can do intermittent, which is like 3 months. I think of like a rolling year, um, where you can just call out when you need to.
Intermittent FMLA. That's
Yeah.
better to get than just the family.
Yeah, for like this kind of treatment, it is.
Okay.
So yeah, so you basically can call out this week, and then maybe you have to call out 2 weeks from now, and you won't be affected up to 3 months. So that's how I had to do it. I had to research that too.
Yeah, a lot of planning, a lot of research. Yeah. And I think we were speaking once. I think you're very lucky because your hours, you work at Walgreens, and your hours are like 3 to 11, and then your husband.
Yeah, they work like 3 to 11.
Yeah, then your husband works 6 to 2. You could be there for him in the morning, and then your husband could come in and be yeah, that's really nice.
To this day, I can give you an answer. I think it was just a lot of, but it did affect me mentally. It got to the point where I had to go to the doctor and tell him I need help. Like, I need help trying to cope with all this because it was just too much. And then, so I'm actually on medicine to help me with my anxiety and depression because it is hard to see your child, go through all this. 100%. So, but luckily my doctor listened, and I'm like, I do therapy every once in a while, but I could probably use more.
We all could probably.
Yeah.
But
it's just so hard. It's just hard to like manage like your mental health in this, no matter what. Even if you have no job, I imagine it's hard,
Oh yeah, definitely. So that's actually good that you sought out therapy. I mean, that's a form of self-care.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was there anything else that your therapist or anything recommended to kind of help with that stress?
Not really. I told her right now, I really don't have the time because it's really, I mean, what I do is I mentally try to find, for myself, I notice if I find something, the good in something, it helps me. Like, for instance, yesterday when we're getting poured out, it's 5 a.m. and I'm driving to the hospital, and Landon's favorite song comes on, and then right after, High Hopes comes on. It's just like only 10 minutes away from the hospital. So I was like, oh my gosh, so today is going to be a good day because at least like these two songs have been like part of our lives for like 2.5 years. So I try to find the good and even in the most tragic things.
Which is good. And I love that about you guys, because that's one of the things I learned when I first started following you guys and families like yours, is just that you learn to find those moments of gratitude in midst of all the chaos. And that's really cool.
I mean, it's been like that all along. Like, for instance, when we bought our house, we rented it for 10 years, and we bought it, and it's literally 10 minutes from the hospital, 2 miles away. I mean, and you spend a lot of time there going back and forth. So it's like a blessing. Like, I don't have to pay for parking, so it's like, it's the little blessings that help us like get through it. At least for me. Like,
I think for everyone, I think that's needed. You have to, I mean, in a stressful kind of traumatic situation like that, that's how you get through it, is just recognizing and finding those tiny, small moments.
Yeah.
So yeah. Is there any advice or anything you would recommend parents do that maybe have to work?
I would recommend being open and honest with your employer, because the communications there, I'm lucky enough I work for a corporation, so they kind of have to like, work with me. I mean, by law, they have to work with you because it's FMLA. But if you like work for a smaller one, I would suggest maybe just being open with them and saying, is this something you think you can work with me with or not? If not, you may have to find another job, or there is other resources out there. Like, I didn't really take into account, like, there's many people that are willing to help you, organizations that are willing to help you. You just got to find them.
A lot of organizations that'll help you if you're struggling to find work.
Yeah. Oh no, if you need like help paying your mortgage or your rent or stuff like that, especially in the childhood cancer community, you just got to be able to. You have to research them yourself. Unfortunately, the hospital social workers are hit and miss.
Oh.
I hate it. I'm just
during
being honest.
During your research, what do you remember? Or, well, of course you probably remember, but what are some of those organizations that will help pay the bills and things?
The B+ Foundation, LLS has, I don't know, LLS sometimes has help. Leukemia Lymphoma Society for leukemia blood cancer patients. It's just I can come up with a list. I can just maybe you can pin it to the podcast or something, and I can give you a list of different organizations and what they do.
Yeah, that would be great. I'd really appreciate it if you did that.
And then most organizations, what they do is they give you something for your kid to have fun with, like Legos or Legos or emotional support or like music therapy, like guitar lessons over Zoom. There's so many different things. Like, I kid you not, there's so many different organizations that just want to bring a smile to a kid's face.
Yeah, which is great. There's a lot of good hearts out there trying to help and that genuinely really care. Yeah. If you don't mind, if you can get just a list for me, I'll include that in the podcast description for parents to refer to and get help. But yeah, thank you for coming on and everything. I think you had a lot of good insight and things to say.
Yes.
So yeah, thanks.
Thank you for having me again.